another SmarkCast. This one may be a little long because I do have to do predictions on 2 shows, and there is something that I'm gonna cover that is kind of gonna take me a while. The thing I want to cover is about CM Punk, and I want to go ahead and preface this by saying that this will be the only time, and well, maybe not the only time, but the last time CM Punk will be mentioned on the SmarkCast, because as of Saturday, he is irrelevant to the wrestling world. He is with UFC now. And that's actually what I wanted to cover, because there was a little argument going on. Some people were saying some stuff that I feel I need to defend, because I am a huge fan of UFC and a huge fan of wrestling. I've been a fan of UFC almost as long as I've been a fan of wrestling, since 1993, so only a few years longer. But UFC's only been around since 1993, and I'm just a big fan of MMA in general. And there was a argument that I really need to address because I find it to be asinine. I'll start off with that, with the actual meme that started all, the picture that made me say, hey, that's wrong. I think I need to say something on this. It was a picture posted on Twitter by a guy who had the tagline, "This is why Punk is a hypocrite." And the picture was of Ryback, and up above Ryback it said CM Punk something to the effect of CM Punk gets kicked in the ribs by Ryback and quits because he's going to get injured. And then below Ryback it says, and he signs with the UFC because where he's going to be kicked in the ribs and injured. Stupid. Okay. Number one thing to address in that is you can't use a factual statement of something that hasn't even happened. The fact that they are saying that CM Punk is going to get kicked in the ribs and injured in the UFC is stupid to begin with. Because there's a really good chance that he's going to walk in there, get one punch to the head and get knocked out, or he's going to walk in there and take the guy out and submit him. He could get kicked in the ribs, but it might not happen. So the whole thing, I want to address it as a scenario, because guys, I'm going to use my UFC knowledge to kind of debunk this whole argument, because it's dumb. If you want to hate on CM Punk, hate on him for the right reasons. I mean, he used to be my favorite wrestler. He's kind of grown. I mean, he's kind of an asshole. So, but it's just, if you're gonna hate CM Punk, hate him for the right reasons. Hate him because he left wrestling and you're butthurt about it. Don't attack UFC. That's stupid. So let's go ahead and put this in scenario A with Ryback. Ryback kicks CM Punk in the ribs, breaks his ribs. CM Punk knows his ribs are broken. He's going to call to the ref, say, hey, I think I'm injured. What happens then? He has to continue the match. He has no choice. He has to continue it. He can make it a little bit shorter, but he still has to continue the match. That is scenario A, point 1. Point 2 is after the match. After the match, CM Punk has to go to the doctor. The doctor says, hey, you got broken ribs. Take a week off. I'll see you at Raw. He'll get a week off, but he still has to show up at Raw, and he still has to be on the road. He still has to train. He has to do everything. Now, in the UFC, let's go with scenario B. He's in there. He gets kicked in the ribs. He feels his ribs break. He knows he's injured. Now, here's where it differs. In the UFC, if he raises his hand and tells the ref this, it means call the fight. I can't go on anymore. CM Punk has a choice. He doesn't have to continue the match. He can continue the match, but he doesn't have to. So, point 1, safer for UFC, because you can get out of it. Okay, point 2 comes up. After the match, CM Punk goes to the doctor, says, hey, my ribs are broken. And this is where it starts getting very intricate and fun, because the UFC is run by Dana White, but he is in control of people called a commission, where there are regulations, there are laws. Yeah, WWE doesn't have that, because WWE is entertainment, UFC is sports. So, due to these regulations, CM Punk would not be legally allowed to fight for 30 days. I'm going to put it in perspective by telling you the rules. In UFC, 2 guys go in, okay? And let's say, extreme scenario, one guy punches one guy in the face, knocks him out, a 3-second fight, it's over. The guy who wins, who just walked in there, punched the guy in the face, and walks out, the guy who wins cannot legally fight for 30 days. He gets a 30-day break. The guy who gets knocked out, because he got knocked unconscious, he cannot legally fight for 90 days. That's a 90-day rest. 90 days, 3 months without any kind of activity. And then legally, he can't even train for 30 days. Train. If you get injured training in the UFC, you have to call off the fight. You can't fight. You can't legally do it. WWE, you get injured training, you have to continue on the road. UFC wins that in safety too. It's just asinine that to say that, oh, CM Punk is going to get injured in the UFC, when in actuality UFC is a lot safer than the WWE. Because of these regulations. I mean, what they're called, the thing where he can't legally fight for 30 days, is called medical suspension. I've seen people get medical suspension up to 4 months before, due to broken hands and stuff like that, which broken hands is kind of a common injury, but that's something that heals in 4 months. So UFC is actually safer. And if you really want to go into this, the argument and how stupid the argument is, basically you're saying, oh, he's getting out of WWE because he's going to get injured and going to a place where he's going to get injured. That's basically like saying, oh, Tom Brady, the quarterback for the Patriots, is going to quit playing for the Patriots because he's afraid he's going to get injured, and then calling him a hypocrite when he goes to play a charity flag football game. It's stupid. And that, I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but it's still the same principle. And I mean, and if you really, really want to get into it, he can get injured doing anything. I'll even take it to the extreme and say, when it was announced that he was going to be a writer for Marvel, CM Punk was going to be a writer for Marvel, or is, no one batted an eye, no one said a thing. They were like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. But in reality, he can get injured doing that. He could be writing out his script and get carpal tunnel. That's a serious injury. Or let's go to the extreme and say he's writing it with his pencil. He bears down a little too hard. That lead snaps, goes right in his eye. Boom, loses his eye. He's done. He's Pirate Punk now. It can happen. It's astronomical. The odds are way out there. Astronomical. I mean, he's probably more likely to get hit by a plane, but it can happen. He can get injured doing that. So is he a hypocrite for leaving the WWE and going to write Marvel? No, he's not. And he's not a hypocrite for leaving WWE and going to UFC. Because there is a world of difference. A world of difference. He is going to get time to heal in the UFC. He's going to, if he has this one fight, if he goes in there and has one fight, which I think he'll have more, he'll still have time to heal. Even after the fight, you won't see him in that octagon again for 5 months. You know what the record is for fights in a single year? 5. I think it was it was either Clay Guida or Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Had 5 fights in 1 year. 5. That's it. Like, the minimum you're going to do in WWE, barring Brock Lesnar in his 2 matches a year, it's like hundreds of matches. And yeah, there is a bit of a difference because, I mean, WWE is scripted, and it is, it's not real fighting. They're not really hitting each other and stuff like that. But the chance of injury is there, and it's there in the UFC. I'm not saying he's going to go to UFC and not get injured, because yeah, he could definitely get injured. I'm saying that the difference here is that if he gets injured in WWE, he has to continue on the road. If he gets injured in UFC, he gets time to heal. I mean, there's a big difference. So, hate him for leaving wrestling and going to competition, which is not really competition. They're not even in the same league. Hate him for that. Don't hate him for a dumb reason, for a dumb made-up reason, because it's not the same. And all these people using this argument that he's going to go get injured in the UFC have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, every time I see it, I respond to them on Twitter. I'm saying, do you even watch the UFC? And 9 times out of 10, they say no. And they have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, I've spent my life defending UFC from Smarks. And I've spent my life defending wrestling from the jock douchebags that watch UFC, some of them. And to wrestling's credit, I defend wrestling a lot more than I defend UFC. So that's about it. But I'm going to end this whole argument on some stats. WWE, how many serious injuries have there been? I'm not even going to go back before 93. I'm going to go to 2000. I'm going to give it 14 years compared to UFC's 21 years. So from 2000, you have Darren Drozdov, paralyzed, neck broken in the ring. Buff Bagwell, neck broken in the ring. He got out of it. Sid Vicious, broken tibia, shortened his career. Edge, hurt neck, shortened his career. Stone Cold Steve Austin pile drived on his head, shortened his career. And for those of you who think I'm going to mention Owen Hart, shame on you, because that did not happen in the ring. That happened before, doesn't count. So I just raffled off 4 or 5 injuries right there. So, statistic for UFC. How many serious injuries have there been in the UFC? You ready for this? Goose egg. None. No serious injuries ever in the UFC. Look it up. No one has died. No one has ever really been seriously injured. Yes, there has been broken bones. Corey Hill, broken leg. Anderson Silva, broken leg. Frank Mir, broken arm. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, broken arm. There has been a lot of broken hands from the punches. But every single one of those guys has come back. And their career has not been shortened because they got the downtime. They got the healing time. Anderson Silva's making his comeback in January. And here's the kicker. He's still on top. You get injured and you take months off in the WWE and you're going to lose your spot. UFC, Anderson Silva's coming back. He's still #1 contender. Because because Anderson Silva was like the best pound for pound fighter. But that's my argument. I'm done with it. CM Punk will no longer be mentioned on the SmarkCast because, like I said, SmarkCast is about wrestling, and he is irrelevant to wrestling now. So now I do have to start writing down these times because I know this SmarkCast is going to run long, and in the description I'm going to have the times written out so people will know, if you want to listen to this, skip to this time, because not everyone wants to hear about CM Punk. And personally, I'm getting tired of hearing about him. So that's what happened. So we're going to go ahead and skip on to the NXT. Hopefully, I may have changed your mind on that situation. Let's write that. Okay. NXT R Evolution, or Revolution. I just like calling it R Evolution because it's a smart-ass thing to do. It's going to be excellent. I'm more excited for this than I am TLC. I'm not excited for TLC much at all. More excited for Wrestle Kingdom 9 than anything. But and Ring of Honor just had a pay-per-view that was just stellar. Awesome pay-per-view. So let's go ahead and grab into it. I have them written down because I'm not very good at remembering things. People who watch SmarkCast know that. We will have the debut of Kevin Steen, aka Kevin Owens. I don't know how to predict that because it's not a match, but I'll say that he will come in as a heel. His promo was very heelish. A lot of people were saying, oh, he's going to attack Sami Zayn. He's going to attack Sami Zayn. That's a little too obvious. And I don't think that WWE wants to rehash a feud and a partnership. There was 2. Feud and a partnership from an indie scene. So they're going to want to do their own thing. He'll probably come in there and destroy some no-name guy if he does anything at all. My prediction is he's just going to come in there and kill a promo. He's really good at promos. But, we'll see. After that, we have Hideo Itami and Finn Balor versus The Ascension. I'll just go ahead and say that pretty much this whole card is cut and dry. I had no problem saying who I thought was going to win. Finn Balor and Hideo Itami take this one pretty easily because they need one big win to kind of boost them up there. I think over time, Hideo will turn on Finn Balor eventually. Don't know when, but it'll happen. And Ascension is going to move up. I see them debuting Maybe the Royal Rumble, maybe a little bit after, but it will be the beginning of 2015. We need another tag team in WWE, so. And Hideo and Finn need a win to kind of boost their credibility. And who better than the #1 tag team in NXT? So, Hideo Itami, Finn Balor. They win that one. Next, we have Lucha Dragons and the Vaudevillains for the Tag Team Championship. This one was pretty easy, although I would love to see the Vaudevillains win because I'm a big fan of the Vaudevillains. The Lucha Dragons kind of bring this high adrenaline thing to the tag division that hasn't been seen in a while. Yeah, the Usos brought some high adrenaline, but it's a different kind of a thing, and not a lot of people have seen the Lucha style. And to be bluntly honest, the Lucha Dragons don't really have the real Lucha style. It's kind of the Americanized Lucha style. So, but Lucha Dragons got this one. They're going to continue being champions for a little bit. I don't know who's going to take the title from them, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen in March at the next NXT pay-per-view. Next, we have what people are kind of having trouble calling, Charlotte and Sasha Banks. It's pretty easy. I mean, with Charlotte showing up on Raw Monday, that was a test run. They wanted to see what the crowd would do with Charlotte coming in, and the crowd loved her. I mean, she was getting woos, she was getting cheers, people were clapping whenever she would do something cool. And I think that right there cemented her loss, because we're going to have Sasha Banks win the title. Charlotte moves on, and if I'm not mistaken, she will be the NXT diva that held the title the shortest amount of time, which is okay because she just needed to move up. And I want to give props to Charlotte, because when she first started in NXT, I wasn't too impressed, but I swear it was overnight. It was like a week later, and she was one of the best, so she got better quick. But Charlotte's may be one of the best divas that WWE has, period. So Charlotte loses that one. Sasha's the new champ. The next one is the only one I had a tad bit of trouble with. Adrian Neville versus Sami Zayn. If Zayn loses, he has to quit the WWE. And that's the reason why I had a little trouble with it, because it just seems a little too obvious. Like, that's kind of a stretch. So, but in the end, I still think that Neville will win it. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Zayn win it. It would be better for Zayn to win it because, I mean, he's been fighting so hard to get where he's at right now, and he's got this. He's like the Daniel Bryan of the NXT, where he's been fighting for years just to win that title, and to not give it to him in the end is kind of lame. But so I think Neville will win it. Wouldn't be surprised to see Zayn win it. But what I'm calling is Zayn. I'm calling Sami Zayn to win it all. I don't, because NXT doesn't go for that obvious stuff. Like, if it's really obvious, usually they do the opposite. NXT is pretty cut and dry. They're like, let's just go do what everyone expects us to do, which is put on a good show. I will say that Neville and Zayn will be the match of the night, period. It'll be awesome. So Zayn walks away champion, and we have 2 new champions at NXT, and it's going to be an amazing event this Thursday. If you do not have the network, I would say get it, because just for this alone, I think this pay-per-view alone will be worth $9.99. Ugh, I can't believe I just said that. Alright, moving on to the TLC thing, which I'm not super looking forward to, but it's just the build-up has sucked. It has nothing to do with just the matches. I will give WWE a little credit, because they have made a lot of these matches personal, which is something they haven't done in a while, which is really cool. So go ahead and start off with the pre-show. The New Day versus Stardust and Goldust. I think it'll be Xavier Woods and Big E in there. because we haven't seen that combination yet. For the New Day, a lot of people have been asking me what I think about them. I'm really biased because I really enjoy Big E, Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston's work. I'm a big fan of the three guys. Do I think this stable will last? It has the potential. The problem is the crowd isn't accepting it. I didn't watch their debut on SmackDown because debuts on SmackDown are weird because they can pipe in crowd cheers. And so I didn't watch it. But Raw comes out, and that's where you get your real crowd reaction because it's live. And there was a lot of quiet. I even heard quite a few boos, and there's a little bit of cheering. So their reaction is not good. And that's a bad sign. That could mean that this team is not going to last very long. I hope they do because I want these three to get some TV time. The world needs to see Xavier Woods at least because he's really good. But anyway, this is simple. They need a name team to put them over and make them look good. Who better than Stardust and Goldust because they are one of the best tag teams out there. And I'm really hoping they do a Stardust versus Goldust for WrestleMania. But even better would be Stardust having enough and turning back into Cody Rhodes. Because I'm really getting sick of Stardust. I want Cody Rhodes back. Either way, New Day wins it. Nikki versus AJ. Still not a fan of the Bellas. I will admit that her promo on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago was impressive. She still read it like a robot. She still said, "You are still just that little girl from New Jersey." You know, she sounded like C-3PO, and it was ridiculous. She's improving in the ring, but I'm still not a fan. I don't get how she's suddenly gaining fans, but my opinion doesn't matter. It's whatever they think. And it's a pretty easy match to call. Nikki's going to win this one. I don't see AJ getting that belt back for a while. I think this whole Nikki having the belt is just leading up to some WrestleMania thing that they're going to do on Total Divas. Possibly some kind of Brie versus Nikki feud again, which would make no sense because this whole Nikki and Brie thing doesn't make sense anyway, with Brie being Nikki's slave for a month and then suddenly joining her. That was, I don't know who in creative thought that up, but that, I mean, they need to check that person for some kind of brain tumor because no one in their right mind thought that was logical. Doesn't matter. Nikki wins, retains the title. Next, Ryback and Kane in a chairs match. Still not a fan of Ryback. I'm a fan of his online persona, but they aren't letting him do that. They're not letting him be Matt Reeves. He still has to be Feed Me More. People were digging it, which is cool, you know, whatever, but I'm just not a fan of it. And Kane lost his step a long time ago, so I'm not expecting a 5-star match here. I am expecting Ryback to go over, so Ryback wins. There you go. Next, Usos versus Miz and Mizdow. This one's one that's gotten personal with the addition of Naomi and Miz's agent, I guess. This one, pretty cut and dry. Miz and Mizdow are going to walk out the champs because they just need to. They're the more over team, or Mizdow is over. However, I would book it a little weird. I would have Naomi come out there and cause Usos the match because she's told that she can have this big role if she helps Miz and Mizdow win. And then the Miz comes out and says, yeah, that was Mizdow. There was no role, and you never talked to my agent, because that's a huge heel move, and it breaks Naomi's heart, and Naomi turned on the Usos. Be an excellent thing. But, you know, that's not what's going to happen. But what is going to happen, Miz and Mizdow are going to get their hands raised. Next, Rowan Big Show in a stairs match. I don't even know what the rules of a stairs match are, And I refuse to call this pay-per-view TLC and Stairs. I refuse. It's stupid. So Rowan has been showing up lately, being a, he's been stepping up, and it's really cool because he was the weak link of the Wyatts, but now he's actually been kind of up there. His wrestling still needs a little work, but it's been really cool. This is just going to be a one-off match. It's not going to be a feud. Rowan's going to destroy the Big Show. He's going to kill the Turncoat. Not really kill him, but beat the Turncoat. Rowan wins, and he will move on to Harper. So that leads to Harper and Ziggler. Someone will cause Ziggler this match. Harper will climb the ladder and grab the belt and win. Someone will cause him the match, though. I don't know who it is. And then we're going to get a Luke Harper versus Eric Rowan feud. It's what is best for business. It's what is needed. You can see my dog moving around. He's waking up. Awesome. So Rowan beats Big Show to give him a little boost, and Luke retains the title in the ladder match to give him a little boost, and then we get Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, which writes itself. There are a few people who don't want to see this feud, but it's one of those feuds that the pageantry alone and the history alone writes itself. So it's an important thing to do. Swagger and Rusev. Some people are having trouble with this one. I am not. Rusev is going to win it. Plain and simple. It's a common rule. The injured wrestler always wins. And Rusev is going to come in there with a limp. He's going to be working that ankle, and he's going to end up winning it. The problem I have is that they've made this feud personal, and Swagger, by logical reason, should win because Rusev did attack his manager. Won't happen. Rusev's going to win. He's going to continue on. I still say he's going to be beaten at WrestleMania. I'm not so sure it's going to be Ryback anymore, but I'm still sticking with that prediction. Ryback will beat Rusev at WrestleMania. I just have a feeling. Let's see. The only ones I didn't cover are Ambrose and Wyatt. Probably the only match that I'm looking forward to, besides Ziggler and Harper. Ziggler and Harper I'm actually really looking forward to. But the only thing I have with Ambrose and Wyatt is I think it should go one more. I think they should have a trilogy. And if that happens, Bray Wyatt needs to win at TLC. That way he can beat down Ambrose, and then Ambrose can have that comeback at Royal Rumble. Ambrose wins, and wins out the feud. So, because that's the way I want it to happen, that's the way I'm going to say it's going to happen. So I'm going to say Bray Wyatt wins. A lot of people are saying Ambrose is going to win this, and if this is the end of the feud, Ambrose will win it. It's the thing that makes me think that Ambrose will win is because Ambrose destroyed the rocking chair, and Bray Wyatt needs revenge for that. He got revenge by crushing his larynx with a chair, which kind of put Ambrose up. He's kind of, he's going to win now. But I just think that Bray Wyatt's going to win this. So, call him for Wyatt. And last, Cena and Rollins. If the WWE is smart, they make Cena lose this. And then we have, hopefully, we would get Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble. Because I think that would just be all around better. Because the plan is still for Roman Reigns to beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And, I mean, right now, Brock Lesnar is the guy that The Undertaker couldn't stop and the guy that John Cena couldn't stop twice. Well, is it going to be that John Cena couldn't stop him 3 times? Or do you want the guy that The Undertaker couldn't stop, the guy that Cena couldn't stop, and the guy that Orton couldn't stop? And then Reigns beats him. He's a made guy. So, but that is not what I think will happen. I still think Rollins is going through a table after a lot of shenanigans. The JJ Security will be in there. Kane will be in there. Most of the Authority will have an interference, and I do believe that Randy Orton is going to make his return and try to save Cena, but it's going to be for naught, and Rollins is going to win it. So there is your TLC card. As a rundown, we have New Day, Nikki, Bray Wyatt, John Cena wins, Ryback wins, Miz and Mizdow win, Rowan wins, Harper wins, and Rusev wins. That's my dog. He made an appearance on the SmarkCast. I got a special guest today. But all that, it's your rundown. Write it down. Do what you want. I don't remember what my record was last thing. I think I was 95%. On the year, I have it written on the year, I am 93%. Cool. So, alright, you have my predictions, and this is running really long. I really try to keep it under 30 minutes. This time I did not make it. But anyway, thank you for coming on to Wrestling Heads and checking out my video. I am SmarkCast. Thank you for watching.